They are more than just a firearms company. They are the company that you have heard of that is responsible for creating the gun that won the West. Even if you are not a gun person, everyone I think needs to learn about Winchester Firearms Company, if nothing else, just for the simple history behind them and the influences that they had on the modern firearms industry and other various events throughout American history. First tonight, I want to tell you about the history of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, the influences that the company had on modern day technology with firearms in the hunting industry and even the military. And I'm also going to tell you about the different models that they have created over the years. First, let's discuss the long history of this iconic arms company. The first thing you need to know is that the founder of the company is Oliver Winchester. And it is quoted by Fisher Designs that he was the ranked number 5 on the top 25 most influential firearms owners or creators in the history of America. This man was working with the first company that was operating with the repeating arms technology that was new for the age back in the early 1850s. And a lot of people don't know about this company, but it was actually called the Volcanic Arms Company. And he was a major stockholder in this company, and which they eventually created it into the New Haven Arms Company, which is where the Winchester plant has been for the past, well, since all of their existence. It started out with it was a very new idea. There was repeating arms in America at the time called like the Spencer rifle, but it wasn't as fluid and it wasn't as efficient as the lever action arms that the Volcanic Arms Company had envisioned. But it didn't have a cartridge that could be fired through it very efficiently, and so it kind of got disbanded. And then it was picked up later by a man named John Henry, who created the iconic Henry rifle. And alongside with him was Oliver Winchester, and after the Civil War, they disbanded the Henry Arms Company, which was the New Haven's Arms Company, and created it into the Winchester Company. That Oliver Winchester bought the major share in it because he saw a vision for the future for the repeating arms in America, especially with American westward migration and the impeding attacks with the Indians, and just using as an overall tool for the pioneers and the frontiersmen that were going out west to discover the new land of America, westward. And this led into some of the most iconic weapons that are in American history. The first one was obviously the Winchester 73, which was stated by wildwest.org that if it wasn't for this gun, there was probably going to be a lot more American frontiersmen that would have died throughout the history, whether it's from Indian attacks or whether it was just from other bandits and the highwaymen that were running because the West was it was unlawed for the most part. There wasn't very much law and order that was going on, and so a lot of times the roads going in between towns were very dangerous. And the Winchester 73 actually teamed up with a fellow company, which was Colt, and they introduced the first rifle pistol combo that could shoot the same ammunition, which required you can have more ammunition but have less types of it, so you don't get confused with what you're putting in what gun. And there was other influential weapons that we're going to talk about later on that was in the West. And the next step that they had with their history was actually in World War II, and they developed the 30 caliber round, and was also one of the sole producers of the M1 Garand, which is the standard American infantry rifle for World War II. Next, we're going to talk about the influences that the Winchester Company created. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is the West, and the first period with the West was the 1866 period through 1894 with Winchester. This was the first mass production and the perfection of the new lever action rifle. That it seems kind of prehistoric now, But at the time, this was just a revolutionary weapon because you're talking about single shot rifles. Now all of a sudden you're talking with a gun that can hold 12, 13, 14 rounds in its chamber and can shoot. And the Indians actually referred it to the gun that never quit firing. And also, they branched and had a lot of other innovations in the West, what we call the West period. Besides the lever action, they developed actually John Browning, which a lot of you will recognize with the Browning Firearms Company, actually created Winchester's first single shot rifle, which was according to history.com. And they called it the high wall and the low wall for the time period. And then they jumped into the 20th century and still were making strides with influences there. And the first one was with the World Wars, and they first helped introduce the actual 30 caliber cartridge, which was, as we know today, it started with the 30-06 is what we know of as today. And also the team at Winchester helped create the M1 carbine, which was a paratrooper model of the M1 Garand. So paratroopers had a lighter gun to carry into battle. And also they created some of the finest hunting rifles of the era with the introduction of the bolt action system and the Winchester Model 70, which is regarded by many as one of the best overall bolt action hunting rifles that has ever been produced because of its clean trigger pull and its advanced safety and advanced bolt sliding operation. And finally, we get to go to my favorite aspect of Winchester, which is the guns themselves. Obviously, the first guns that come to mind, like I said, was in the West with the lever action rifles. And here I've got two different models of some of their lever actions. This is the actual Winchester 1894 lever action. This is without a doubt the most popular hunting rifle most popular rifle that has ever been created. Field and Stream has noted that it has probably killed more deer than any other gun ever, simply for the long history of it. The Winchester quit producing it for a little bit in the 90s and early 2000s, but they reintroduced it and are producing it now again. And it was also the first gun that was able to shoot the higher powered 30-30 cartridge. And here we've actually got, this is a reproduction, and that model that I just had was more of what they call a carbine version. This is a reproduction. It's not actual Winchester, but it is a reproduction to specs on the 1894, and this is what they would have called a sporting edition with the octagon barrel right here. And like I said before, John Browning helped them create the high wall and the low wall, which is the single shot rifle for Winchester. It helped launch them into the single shot and the target and long range shooting back in 1886 and beyond for a few years whenever they produced it. And obviously they got their hunting rifles, which right here is a Winchester Model 70 hunting rifle. I don't know the actual date on it, but as you can see, this is a bolt action. This is the bolt action I was saying. As you can see, the bolt goes like so. And like I said, many have called this the greatest, one of the greatest hunting rifles, bolt action rifles ever. And they also were, like I said earlier, was one of the sole producers for the M1 Garands during World War II, as according to dailycaller.com. To conclude, Winchester is more than just a firearms company, and it is part of our American heritage. Tonight I told you about the history, the influences, and the models that Winchester provided us. From the West to the modern day, Winchester is American as any firearms company has ever been and ever will be. There are more than cowboy guns and hunting implements, they are an American legend.